Ooh,
I begin every day with a prayer in these end times. In the thick of things, he helped me read between these thin lines. Now he's setting goals that we gon' never reach. I was able to learn what they gon' never teach. You can't convert a homeless man if you looking to preach first. Before you bring the truth, bring them something to eat first. Either you selling out or you in the self for 10. It's more about what you melling out, not just your melanin. They say snitches get stitches, but I'm avoiding ditches, cause I'm intelligent. According to the Father, you are gone and your belief is unbelievable, but believe what you want. But as for me and my fam, we gon' serve the Most High. Yeah.
we never going out of service. We never going out of service. As for me and my family, we gon' serve the Most High in the low times and even in the highs.
You say you believe in Christ, but don't believe that he's black. But the Bible say that he is. Guess you don't believe in that. Standing still would get you killed, but they couldn't pay us to move. Thousands of Mike Browns, only a few make the news. Once I found the truth, then I got the facts. If they need organs and you black, your blood type will get you snatching. I mean, when this world gon' wake up and realize we the children of Jacob. It's your reality check, now keep the pace stuck. Proof. But as for me and my fam, we gon' serve the Most High. Yeah.
We never going out of service. We never going out of service. As for me and my family, we gon' serve the Most High.
Terrible power.
Shalom Care, grooming essentials for the modern man of color. Shalom Care, grooming essentials for the modern man of color. Paraben-free, peace with care. For beard mousse, armpit mousse, or jock mousse, visit shalomcare4u2u.com. Shalom Care.
Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this platform by individuals, callers, or invited guests are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with the brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation to PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. You're tuning into Debate Talk for You Radio, Spiritual Food, Sabbath Meal, Episode 3. I am your host, Gabbar Ilah. We got a good one today. Hope everybody is tuning in. Got a lot of information that's going to be disseminated to the people. First and foremost, I just want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, in the authority of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who was commonly called Jesus Christ. All right. Once again, today, spiritual food, Sabbath meal, episode 3. Going to be getting into reparations talk. Got a couple of guests that are going to be coming on. King Melek ZakarYah and Sister Ilah. All right. We're going to be talking about these things today. And hopefully the information, it's a wealth of information. I don't think we're going to get through it all today. We'll try to get through as much as we can. But we're definitely going to be diving into this. I'm going to try to take a back seat today, let these guests disseminate the information to you guys. I'll just chime in, share some comments that's coming from the chat. And also, whenever time permits, we will be having people come on if they want to share their thoughts, opinions about the information that's being brought out today. All right. I will be sharing that link in the chat. Just so you know, if you are in the chat or if you come on live, Debate Talk for You does not condone any profanity, foul language, name calling, or disrespect. If those things do occur, you will be removed from the platform immediately. All right. So with that being said, so when I get into this, I'm going to go ahead and read an article from you that's talking about these reparations. A recent article actually that came out about a week ago. And it's actually concerning Joe Biden when he takes office, concerning reparations. Okay, so just give me a second to share my screen, y'all. While I do that, just want to say shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I see y'all in the chat. Again, this is gonna be a juicy one. It's gonna be a juicy one. It's gonna be a lot of information, a lot of historical stuff is about to come out. Okay, and the things that we need to do as a people concerning these reparations that may be on the table. Okay. That being said, let me go ahead and share my screen here real quick. All right. Okay. All right. So you see, this is from NBC News. Again, I like to deal with what's commonly called primary sources, though it may not be as primary as people think. I like to deal with what is commonly called primary sources or mainstream sources. That way people don't think I'm pulling things from a satirical website. All right. And you see the headline: Joe Biden could send a message to Black Americans with this reparations bill. Experts say the HR-40 reparations bill could be an early test for President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Okay, so for those who don't know, some time ago, a reparations bill was put on the table. Hasn't been passed yet, but it is on the table. And I'm going to read the article, and it's going to give you some brief information on it. And then when I bring my guests on, they're going to speak on that some more, give you some background historical facts about reparations and things that leading up all the way up till today. All right. Scrolling down here. Okay. So as you see, this article was posted on January 8th, 2021. Okay. So it's a fairly recent article. It's only about 8 days old. All right. It's not something from a year ago or for a couple of years ago. All right. This is something very recent. So it's still being talked about. All right. So it says a bill reintroduced in the House this week to create a commission to examine reparations for the African-American descendants of slavery is being seen by many as an early test of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris' proclaimed commitment to tackling structural oppression. The commission of 13 people would be tasked with examining the history of slavery in the United States and the systematic racism that resulted, including federal and state governments' role in supporting it, and recommended appropriate remedies to Congress. The bill, known as H.R. 40, was reintroduced Monday by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a Texas Democrat. Given the role that Black people played in this year's election, getting him nominated and saving his campaign, there is no reason they shouldn't support this bill. Mary Frances Berry, a professor of history at the University of Pennsylvania, said of Biden and Harris. This is one of the best ways to make good on their promise to attack systematic racism and white supremacy and elevate the economic and social condition of Black people. All right. For those who want to go check it out, you guys can play this video. I'm not going to play it. I'm just gonna keep reading. Okay. Support for the bill has grown steadily since it was introduced in 1989 by then Rep. John Connors, Democrat of Michigan, when 23 representatives co-sponsored it. Conyers reintroduced it every year until his death in 2019. When Lee first reintroduced it, it now has 173 co-sponsors. Despite such support, the bill has yet to be brought to a full vote. So you see, this is not a new bill. This has been getting pushed for roughly 30 years. Okay, this is not a new bill. This has been something that's been trying to get pushed through for a long time. Okay, now I read up earlier about how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was talking about, they was going to look out for us because so-called Black Americans went out and voted for them. We gonna see what happens. Okay, but let me keep reading on. Lee called the bill a crucial piece of legislation because it goes beyond exploring the economic implications of slavery and segregation. The call for reparations represents a commitment to entering a constructive dialogue on the role of slavery and racism in shaping present-day conditions in our community and American society, said she in a statement. It is a holistic bill in the sense that it seeks to establish a commission to also examine the moral and social implications of slavery. Biden has not endorsed the bill by name, but he has supported a study of what form reparations could take. A statement on the Biden-Harris website states that the administration will address the systematic racism that persists across our institutions today. In his victory speech, Biden promised to have Black Americans back. That commitment, however, has long been tainted by his role in the 1994 crime bill, which disproportionately affected Black communities, which he was a senator when he was a senator from Delaware. He has called parts of the bill a mistake while defending the legislation more broadly. One critic highlighted Biden's apparent career-long commitments to austerity and policing as a solution to our social problems, while he has also faced heat, even from Harris, on his record on school desegregation. Experts like Barry say getting H.R. 40 passed presents an opportunity for Biden to repair his legacy on race and for Harris to change her own standing with those who have criticized her record while Attorney General in California. If they were to do this, it will go a long way toward removing the bad taste some people have in their mouths over having to support them, Barry said. And when they talk about with Kamala Harris, everybody think that Kamala Harris is just A1, and she's not. She's responsible for having a lot of so-called Black men locked up in the state of California. Okay, a lot of people don't know about that, but again, we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to present this just to kind of set the stage for my guests that are going to be coming on today, and just kind of wanted to give that information. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen here. All right, so shout out to Marlon Antonio. I am looking forward to the information regarding spiritual food Sabbath meal. All praises, man. Well, hopefully the information that you get today is good. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring on my first guest, King Melek ZakarYah. King Melek ZakarYah, you are live on the air. Shalom, Ak.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. All praises to the Most High. It is a blessing and an honor for me to be here. I'm very thankful for this opportunity. I want to give a shout out to Debate Talk for You Radio for having me here. Also a shout out to Ilah Ahla, the Levite priest over at Sons of Isaac, my brother, my spiritual leader. I walk shoulder to shoulder in this truth with him. And all praises for his wife, Ilah Ahla, also, who will be coming on in a minute. I want to give a shout out to them and a big thank you. Now, this Reparations Talk is a debut. It will be a regular show. So this is my debut, and the regular times will be announced later here on Debate Talk for You. Once again, my name is King Melek ZakarYah. I am a parent of a 9-year-old. I am the creator at Shalom Care. My website is shalomcare4you2you.com. Grooming essentials for the modern man of color, where I make all natural grooming products for brothers and other men. I am also an activist for reparations for our people. There is a Facebook page that is entitled Reparations for the Modern Day Descendants of American Negro Slaves. Now, I just want to let all the listeners know that as I make this presentation, I will be using the word Negro or the word Black. A lot of people get upset about hearing the word Negro. Oh, I don't like the word Negro. I don't want to be called Negro. But just for the purpose of history and identification, I'm going to be using the word Negro and at times the word Black, okay? Just for those reasons. So, and people can make comments about that later, but just understand that's where I'm coming from, why I'm using that term. Now, on a personal level, real quick, I want to let everybody know that I was born in 1963 to a 2-parent household. My mother and my father were both born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, in the 30s, okay? Right in the middle of the Jim Crow South. Now, everybody knows that the state of Mississippi is notorious and was one of the worst, known as one of the worst slave states amongst the 11 original slave states that were there. So both my parents were part of the migration in the late 50s of the American Negroes who migrated to the northern states, really tired of the Southern mentality and the racism and the Jim Crow mentality. And so my parents migrated to a place called Aurora, Illinois, and that's where I was born and where I grew up. But I must go ahead and tell you that because of my father's upbringing and the things that he experienced, I'm very well familiar with a lot of the pain and the hurt and the challenges that it comes with being Black in America and having been raised in that atmosphere. Okay, so now you know a little bit about me. Now, what I want to do with this reparations talk, because there's so much information and we will not get to it all today. That's why reparations talk will be an ongoing show for us as a people to just come on and be able to converse and talk about this and express our feelings and ask questions and come up with solutions, what have you. Okay, now for today's conversation, I'm going to be covering 4 points. We're going to be looking at the documented reasons, okay, because we know that there's a plethora of reasons. We will not run out of reasons, but they are also documented. So none of this stuff is going to be fabricated. None of this information is going to be any lies. I'm going to cover, I want to go over America's response. I want to also go over the group of people who got reparations out of America, and why haven't we gotten them yet? And then, of course, I want to talk about what reparations could be, what reparations should be. Okay, so going back to one, the documented reasons. Okay, we all know about American slavery, obviously. American slavery, technically on the American books, took place from 1619 to 1846. Okay, excuse me, 1864. Excuse me, 1619 to 1864, American slavery. And we're familiar. We've seen the movies. Most of the movies that have been shot are pretty truthful about the treatment of our people and what went on, and the racist mentality against us. So we're familiar with the crimes and atrocities that were committed against our people during the slavery years. We're also going to go over, so we got American slavery from 1619 to 1865. Then we've got the next 80 years, which is known as slavery of another kind, where for the next 80 years, from 1866 to 1946, Black people, Black Americans, freed slaves, were forced into slave labor for 80 years. So you're talking about the end of Civil War up until the end of World War II. Okay, that's about 80 years. We're also going to talk about, I'd like to mention, during that same time period, the American pastime of lynching our people, lynching Negroes at any moment. Our people lived in fear, and they could be lynched at any time. And what was not known was most of our people who were lynched were actually business owners, successful business owners who were just uppity to the racist white people back there. And because they were so successful, because they held their head up high, many of them were singled out and lynched. So the American pastime of lynching Negroes is a good reason why we deserve these reparations. We're also going to talk about, I want to mention, the bombing and the burning of the Black Wall Street, which took place in 1921. And along with that bombing and that burning, a mob of about 1,500 white people went on a murderous rampage. So they just murdered every Black person that they could come across during this attack on the Black Wall Street, which was in 1921. Now, the interesting thing about the Black Wall Street was that it was actually named Greenwood, Oklahoma, and Booker T. Washington, who was a very popular leader amongst our people during this time, was so impressed with the success of Greenwood, Mississippi, that he nicknamed it the Black Wall Street. And that's how it became known as the Black Wall Street by Booker T. Washington. And then, of course, we want to mention the murder of Emmett Till, which took place in 1955, which sparked the bus boycott, which then sparked the civil rights movement. Okay, so we have had issues after issues being Black in this country. And I want to just read you a prepared statement that's going to give you an idea. I want to focus in on the 1866 to 1946. And I just need everybody's attention real quick. And this is going to make a lot of sense to you. And what we're establishing here is the grounds for reparations, and that we deserve these reparations, and that we can speak for ourselves. Now, if Joe Biden can step forward and reintroduce the bill and bring new life to it, and then he's got Kamala Harris, who's also coming forward to speak about it. Now, these are two people who have been very instrumental in keeping our people incarcerated, keeping our men in jail systematically on a revolving door of incarceration. And now they want to have the view of them heightened, so that we can look at them and be thankful to them. But what I'm saying is that we as a people need to begin to speak about this issue ourselves. We need to step up. We need to stand up. We have the documented information, and we need to speak for ourselves. Okay. Buried in old courthouses, abandoned jails, libraries, and archives across the southern states are the handwritten letters of hundreds and thousands of free Black wives, mothers, grandmothers, and aunts regarding the disappearance of their son, brother, husband, or uncle. These letters will begin to being written about 40 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, whenever one is in a conversation with someone and the question is asked, what's wrong with American Black people? Why can't they just get over it? American slavery ended over 150 years ago. Well, that's fundamentally false. The reality is that American slavery and all the limitations that were imposed on the future, the potential, and the progress of American Negro families did not end 150 years ago. It continued until World War II, well into the lives of a large number of American Negro families today. For more than 80 years following the Civil War, hundreds and thousands of American Negro males were pulled back into the darkness of enslavement in America. There is a documentary that was produced by PBS entitled Slavery by Another Name that tells the history of forced labor after the Civil War of American Blacks freed by the 13th Amendment. Thousands and thousands of recently freed Blacks who were arrested on trumped up charges and forced into slave labor for 80 years, from 1866 to 1946, between the Civil War and the end of World War II. Okay, so you have the Emancipation being proclamation being written in 1865. You have all of these newly freed American Black people, and there are no programs to introduce them into their new free life. You would think that the United States government would prepare them, get them ready, have programs in place, have counseling in place, have land in place, jobs and job programs in place with them. But instead, what they did was they if you could bring Gabbar, could you bring up the 13th Amendment? I want to take a look at that real quick. If you could bring that up on the screen. And what I want to say about that, continue to say, is that right after American slavery in the southern states, those 11 southern states, state after state, county after county, introduced vagrancy laws against Black life. Okay, it was a crime to walk beside a railroad. It was a crime to speak loudly in the presence of white women. It was a crime to sell your products after the sun was down. When these Black farmers were trying to sell their products, their produce in the daytime, the white people would come up and destroy their tables. At night, they would destroy their crops. And so they made it, when they would try to sell their crops in the evening amongst their own community, they made it a law against that. Okay. So it was nothing but laws to keep them behind, to keep our people behind. And so we have the grounds for these reparations. We have the documented events for these reparations. Okay, so I'm flipping here.
Hey, before you continue on, let me go ahead and bring the sister in, so that way she doesn't get lost in, because I know you got a lot of information to bring out.
Okay, cool.
It's getting real juicy. So let me go ahead and bring the sister in so she can introduce herself. All right.
Okay, cool.
All right. So now we got Sister Ilah. Shalom, sis. You're live on the air.
Shalom. I'm Ilah. My husband is the leader of Sons of Isaac Israelite Congregation. He gave me permission to speak on behalf of the reparations, and Brother King Melek had invited me to come speak on it. So I've been staying up to like 2-3 o'clock in the morning trying to research and study, but I'm gonna let the brother finish talking, and I'm just gonna wait to speak. But thank you for inviting me. I'm honored. And
Sister Ida, you can make your presentation now, because I can come back on at the end, because I'm going to get some of the memes up real quick.
Okay, well, a little bit about myself is I'm an author of a book called Prince Benaniah, which I wrote 4 years ago and published recently. I'm a mom of 4 children that are homeschool. I'm an advocate against vaccines. I'm big on women coming back to their first estate, which is a podcast I want to start called Women's First Estate. So it's something I'm working on. It's in the works. And I want to say thank you, Gabbar, for allowing me to come on and speak. And all praises to the Most High, Yahweh Shah, for the wisdom and knowledge that has been being brought out. This is my second time speaking, and this time I'm a little bit more prepared to talk. So I pray whatever information that comes out, it's not just my words, but the words come from the Most High and the wisdom that needs to be shared for the people.
All right, all praises. So I want to go ahead and post this question real quick before we continue on. So G-Deb asked, are you currently working with Cobra, AODS, and Tariq Group that are working on this issue currently?
I was a member of Cobra, so I was with them in Chicago. I was been with their chapter in Dallas, and when I was in Dallas, we did go to the anniversary of the the Black Wall Street. We traveled from Dallas to the Greenwood, Oklahoma, where there's a museum there, and there was a parade. So yeah, I'm connected with Cobra. I know those brothers well, and I actually need to rekindle my relationship with them, because we do, as a people, we should come together and work on this together. So yes, I'm very, 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 very well known. I'm very, very familiar, excuse me, with Cobra. They're awesome brothers. Really, I love those brothers. Was there another question you were going to bring in?
Yeah, so Rebel Present, I believe this is Brother BA. Do we really think this system is heavy influenced by the dragon going to give our people reparations?
Well, the thing is this: as a Hebrew Israelite, we understand the curses. We know why the Most High set the white man on us. And here it is. Here's the deal: as long as we are living and breathing, we have an opportunity to be doing something for ourselves. Now, as a Hebrew Israelite, of course, we have the understanding that we need to be following the laws of the Torah. We need to be following the Ten Commandments. That should be our focus. We need to be keeping Sabbath. We need to be honoring the holy days. That should be our focus. But as we are living everyday life, we need to be growing our own food. We need to be trading the produce between ourselves. We need to invent. We need to earn money. We need to create commerce amongst each other. So if we can do that, we can certainly receive these reparations in the form of land distribution and in the form of money. It should be land first, and we should have the opportunity to build our own self-sustaining community. Now, we have examples of it. It's been done before. We know that we have the ability. We know that we're equipped with the gifts and talents when we look at the Black Wall Street. Now, one thing that they made a mistake in the Black Wall Street, and what you got to do is you got to read the article, The Origins of the Black Wall Street. It was a very, very successful city, and it was really like a mini America operating in America better than America, which is one of the reasons why the jealous white people destroyed it. Here's one mistake that our people made. And when you get into the Bible, when you understand these curses, this will make sense to you. You got to read Ephesians 6, where it tells us that we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, that this is more of a spiritual battle than a physical battle, or just as much a spiritual battle as it is a physical battle. There was a night during the Black Wall Street where the Black people came out into the streets. They got dressed up. The women got dressed up in their beautiful dresses. The men got dressed up in their suits, and they partied. There was no music playing at all. They came out into the streets, dancing, singing, shouting, smoking, drinking. Okay. And white people witnessed this. Some white people actually took part in it, because what the white people did during the heyday of the Black Wall Street is that at night they would sneak across the railroad tracks into the Black Wall Street and enjoy life, enjoy the women. A lot of white people did that during the time. You got to read it's called The Origins of the Black Wall Street. Get into those details of the Black Wall Street, and you'll see some of the spiritual mistakes that our people made. Now, let me also say this. Hollywood does not lie. There's been a couple movies out. There are movies out that have the documented attitude of the white man when he comes against us. There was one clip that I saw of this movie of white slave traders getting ready to go into the Atlantic slave trade to collect slaves to bring them to America. And one of the white men in this group of white men said, "Hey, why are we doing this? Why do we need to go and capture these slaves and enslave these people? Why are we doing this?" And this other white slave trader stepped forward and said, "Because they turned from their God, and it is our job to hunt them down and to enslave them." Okay? So as Hebrew Israelites, when we come into this truth, we understand that we have to repent for ourselves. Not just for ourselves, we got to repent for our forefathers, for the iniquities of our forefathers, because it is our forefathers who made the mistake and went off and turned from the laws of the Most High. They allowed women of other nations to pull them away. You got to read First Kings 11. You'll see how Solomon, the son of David, how he was just drawn away from the truth of the Most High by women of other nations. And these women of other nations caused him to worship false gods. Okay, so the Most High does not play when he calls his chosen people into obedience. Okay, so I'm just making a point there that you got to understand white people are looking at us. And when they see us not behaving the way we're supposed to, because a lot of them know that we're the children of Israel, they know that we're the true nation of Israel. And when they see us acting non-righteous, they feel that it is their job to destroy us, to attack us, to bring us down. Like he said, they turned away from their God. It is our job to hunt them down and to enslave them. Okay? Any more questions?
Yeah. So the same person followed up with a second question. So the white man, according to some, who is the devil, going to give us reparations?
Well, he you know what? The bill's been on the table since the 80s, and there have always been some white people who have really been against slavery, but there's always a larger amount who disagree with it, who want to stop it. So, like I said, I don't think that they want to give it to us, and I don't think that as a Hebrew Israelite, it's not my concern really, but I know that it's due to us. And I think that if we step up ourselves, if we go to Washington, if we present this information, this documented information, and we come correct, we got to come like a black nation that's together, not divided. We'll get it. I think that we'll get something. So I wanted to read the 13th Amendment. And
Okay.
what you want?
I'm going to go ahead and pull that up for you. While I do that, I want to give Sister the chance to respond to any of the questions that were being brought forth, if she
Okay,
has anything.
cool.
So, Sister Ilah, you got anything that you want to add?
Sorry, I muted myself. Yes. I mean, to answer any of those questions, like the first one that was asking if I'm not a part of any reparation group. I'm actually a new aged young person. I'm only 32. I was born in 1988. So as far as reparation, I don't have a massive amount of knowledge on it. But scripturally speaking, I get where King Malik is coming from as far as reparation, because the scriptures talk about righting wrongs and the offenses that have been caused against our people. There needs to be some type of reparation. If you Google the word reparation, it tells
Hey, sis, I think your mic went on mute again.
Or there was
Yeah,
a
it
distortion.
like she tried to mute. She tried to unmute it, but then it went mute again.
There we
Okay,
go. Sorry.
all right.
It means the making amends for wrong one has done by paying money to, otherwise helping those who have been wrong. So we all know the history of what happened to the so-called African Americans during slavery. And they have reparation programs for all kind of people, because I seen the comment where they were talking about the Asians and other people that have received reparations. Those people are getting those reparations because they set up those programs for those people, either in the form of money, resources, help. You know, like I said, I never learned about reparation in school. It's not taught. Most of what I've learned come from the research and the knowledge I'm coming across even still to this day. you know but before
Ex-
we can
Yeah, that's a great point you're bringing out, sister. Is the public schools are teaching distorted information. So a lot of our modern day Black people have no information about why we need reparations. They're not concerned about it. It's been watered. The truth has been watered down. Um, in 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and America put Japanese Americans in internment camps. Okay, and in 1988, America issued reparations to American Japanese for their involvement, for putting them in those internment camps. So it was important enough for America to honor American Japanese for what, 10 years of internment camps, when they had us enslaved for 300 years in America. So that's just a point I wanted to bring out when she brought that up. And so the information in the schools are being watered down. Matter of fact, one history book that I saw is teaching that they're calling us Africans, and they're saying that the African slaves were indentured servants, that we chose to go into American slavery, that we volunteered, and that we were cool with it. That's what.
Yeah, that's how they're teaching the children now, and that's why they have no issue with what's going on in society. That's why we don't have rebels like we did back in the 1980s, 1970s, where people were actually boycotting and marching and fighting against the injustices that were happening to our people. That's why all you seen was a march during Trayvon Martin. You didn't see no real rebellion.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
All right, so we got another question, man. I don't know how much appreciation you gonna get to, man, because people got questions, man. I didn't think it was gonna be a lot of questions getting asked like this, but so
Cool.
it says AC Love 2338 says, why didn't Obama address reparations?
Oh, let me get into that right now. Let me get it for you right now. I gave you a memo on that. Let me see if
Okay,
I can find it real quick. I have it. Let me see.
and do you think he would have a better chance at getting it passed?
Obama?
Yeah.
Well, he might, but he would disappoint a lot of people who he loves and respects. Let me see. I can't find. Do you have that mem? Could you put that up real quick?
Yeah. I also got the 13th Amendment pulled up if you want me to go to that first.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see. I have the. Let's see, because I'm in my.
Actually, let me
Yeah.
just share my whole entire thing real quick, because I only had that tab pulled up, but let me just share the whole window so that way I can just flip over.
Okay. Well, here's what I have on the 13th Amendment. Passed by Congress on January 31st, 1865, and ratified on December 6, 1865, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States and provides that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the parties shall be duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So that person who asked that question about Obama, hang on, I'm going to get there. Okay, let's focus on this portion right here. Except as punishment for a crime. Okay, so right after slavery, I'm just going to remind you of this. Right after slavery, state after state, county after county enforced laws. So here we go.
Pig laws.
Yeah, laws, yes. Slavery of another name. A history of forced labor. American blacks freed from by the 13th Amendment. Okay, thousands and thousands of recently freed slaves who were arrested on trumped-up charges and forced into slave labor for 80 years, from 1866 to 1946. State after state, county after county in those southern states, they passed laws. They were vagrancy laws. Okay. Now let me get that Obama mem, because I want people to understand what you need to understand, that Obama is a Hamite and he was not concerned about modern day descendants of American Negro slaves.
All right.
Plain and clear. Do you have that up? Because I'm not finding it.
Let me get it real quick. While I'm getting that, GDEB is asking, is Representative Sheila Jackson Lee still heading the committee on reparations study?
Yes, she is still involved in it. Her name is still on it. I haven't heard from her recently. And so I need to reach out to her. I need to speak with her, and I will do that. Matter of fact, I met her one time. I went to Washington, D.C. with one of my nephews. I served as a chaperone, and we spoke briefly in the hallway in the elevator. And she was under time constraints, and we never got to talk anymore. But she's a beautiful woman, and I will definitely reach out to her. I'm sure I can get in touch with her.
All right. All praises, all praises. So yeah, everybody, man, if you're tuning in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to Debate Talk for You. Shout out to Sal Showtime for allowing us to come on here and to share this information, man. We're just gonna keep it going. Like I said, it's a lot of information. We're probably not gonna get to it all, so we're gonna be trying to hopefully bring the brother back on. Most High willing. If Sal agrees to it, maybe he can have his own show on here just to kind of disseminate the information even more so. All right, but definitely it's a lot of information, and we do need to be at least informed about it. All right. So with that being said, let me go ahead and find this one for you. So which one did you want me to pull up?
The 2008 mem. Let me see. Let me just go. I think I can get it here real quick because I had downloaded it and it's not showing. But I had sent it. Let me see here. Okay, I have it. All righty. So who was that who asked the question about Obama? And if he can,
that was Ace. Let me go find it real quick. Right here. Why didn't Obama address reparations?
Who was that?
AC LUV 2338.
Okay, AC. Very good question. Here's the answer to your question. How many of you knew that the UN was calling for reparations for the descendants of slaves in the United States in 2009? Okay, so this issue has been on the table. There have been people trying to do this for us, okay? How many of you know that President Obama boycotted that conference and refused to attend, nor discuss the subject? Okay, let me continue. How many of you know that a large part of his refusal was because he felt that we were disrespecting Israel, the current Israel, and the Jewish community? When he says Israel, he's talking about those white people who are currently occupying Israel. They're known as Israelis. He didn't want them to feel respected, nor he didn't want the Jewish community to feel respected. Now, the Jewish community historically were the ones who built the slave ship. They financed the whole slave trade. They got it going. Let me continue. So he was so intent on standing up for Israel that he boycotted the conference and cost Black citizens reparations. Not only did he boycott them and threaten to cut off relations and trade with the U.S. ally country of any U.S. ally country that attended. Okay, let me get that right. Not only did he boycott them, he threatened to cut off relations and trade with any U.S. ally country that attended. So you can ignore Blacks and 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow, and you better not offend the Jews on his watch. So there's the answer to your question regarding Obama. Now, can a person have a change of heart? I guess he can. Do I think he would? I think because I know this is we're in a spiritual battle here, and that Obama is the product of a Hamite. His father is an African. And what people to your question regarding Obama? Now, can a person have a heart? I'm getting a playback out. Okay, it's just stopped. Let me see if it's
that's coming from sister like Ilah side.
Okay, and so the last thing I'm gonna say about that is the raw truth here is that there are some African tribes that are responsible for our enslavement as well. because when the Europeans showed up on the shores of Benin, West Africa, that western region where the slave ports were, okay, because you had the slave ports right there on the coast there, and then further inland they had the slave ports as well. So Africans needed the goods that the Europeans were bringing over. During that time, I think it was tobacco, cotton, precious materials. I think it was liquor. I think it was also seeds, seeds that Africans didn't have. And in trade for those products, Africans took the Europeans into the area known as Negro Land, where the tribe of Judah was thriving, was living, and sold us, captured and sold us to the white man. So not all African tribes did that, but I know for sure the kings of Nigeria and the kings of Ghana were very instrumental in selling the tribe of Judah, selling Negroes who had run into Africa way back 70 AD, when the last state of Israel was conquered. Okay, our ancestors ran into Africa, and so once again, the kings of Nigeria of the time and the kings of Ghana were real instrumental in selling Negro slaves to white European slave traders. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why today the country of Ghana has offered a huge apology to American Black people, and who have said to us, please come home. We're sorry. Let us give you free land. Let us do this. Let us do that. That's going on right now. So Ghana has acknowledged what their role in the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. What are the other questions?
I don't see no more questions, but it's just just a lot of comments being exchanged in the chat. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and continue on.
Okay. Well, let me see. I think that. Okay, let me go back to. So is it possible for me to see some of these comments or what? What's the deal here?
Let me see if I can pull up a couple for you. What you could also do too is you could go if you have like another device, you could go on the YouTube and you can actually like pull up the video. You just gotta like turn down your volume so it won't be that feedback, and then you can actually watch the live chat as well.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pull up some of these comments, because I mean we got some people that are on the opposite side and everything. So let me see if I can pull some of those up. All right, so Rebel Peasant, he says, I believe the reparations will be the inheritance in the kingdom. The meek shall inherit the earth. To get any type of reparations from this system, doubtful and very unlikely, in my opinion. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I actually agree with that. But my response to that is, as long as we're here on this earth, living and breathing, we got to survive. We got to be doing something for ourselves. Do we continue to rely on the system that hates us, that has shown us that they don't love us, or do we get busy doing something for ourselves? Once again, I refer back to the Black Wall Street. A hustling, bustling, thriving, self-sustaining community built and operated by Black people, professional Black people. So we know that we can do it. And then 3 years later, in 1923, they did it again. What was that community? 1923, the movie, it's on the tip of my tongue. There was another Black city community that they, and I have the Black massacres. You have that mem as well, Ak?
Yeah, I got all those. And I think I know what city you talk about. Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue too. Because my wife, she had showed it to me. It was a smaller community than Black Wall Street. It was like a little smaller, but they were very self-sufficient and self-contained also.
Rosewood, 1923. So 1921, Greenwood, Oklahoma, known as the Black Wall Street, was bombed and destroyed with a murderous rampage. And then 3 years later, Rosewood, down in Florida, 1923. It was a smaller community, but it was blacks who were self-sustaining. It was a self-sustaining community where they were growing their own food. They had their own commerce. You know, they were using American dollars, but they had their own commerce between each other. Okay.
All right.
So, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm
once
not sure what
again,
happened to sister like Ilah. She kind of dropped off. But hopefully we can get her back on. Oh, there she goes. There she goes.
okay.
All right, so she's back. All right, so now Rogan Black says Europeans and Americans fought to end slavery as it still continued in Africa in the 1500s before the transatlantic slave trade. Barbary pirates took slaves from the European coast. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, reparations, the reparations that I'm talking about and that I'm trying to get for our people, took place during the years of 1619 till now. So any other enslavement, particularly of white people, there were no white people ever slaves in America. Now in the I believe at the beginning of America, when the Europeans first got here, there were indentured servants, white people who came over here from England, who came as indentured servants, and they were under a contract of so many years that they would work. And it was nothing like American slavery. It had nothing to do with American slavery. As a matter of fact, some Africans were in there in that time, you know, because Africans have always been viewed differently from Negroes. Okay. That's one thing we need to establish here, is that any black person who is a modern day descendant of American Negro slaves, you are not an African American. Okay. You are, by your blood, you are Hebrew. That's your nation. You're Hebrew. You're true Israel, if anything. So what we need to establish here is that African Americans and American Negroes are just two of many different black nations who exist in North America today. So that means we are both black people, but two different black nations. Okay, I need to repeat it one more time because I know there's a lot of people listening and they're not going to get this, because all of the black people in America today are calling themselves African Americans, and that's just not the case for all of us. Some of us are. Once again, African American. I'm just using the modern terms because these are the terms that we're used to. If I start using ancient terms, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. So African Americans and American Negroes are just two of very different black nations that exist in America. We're both black people, but we're two different black nations. Okay? Just want to
All
make
right.
that clear.
All right, all right. They already asking for the link. So I am so link will be sent out momentarily. I just want to give the brother and the sister a chance to present any more information that they have before it gets sent out. But yes, you will be able to come on and you will be able to converse with the brother, ask questions, and build and dialogue. Okay. So I just want to give the brother and the sister a moment to just be able to present whatever information that they have. Like I said, I didn't think we was gonna be able to get to everything because this kind of topic it sparks conversation and people wanna voice their thoughts on it. So but this is good. I love how everything is going on. Shout out to everybody in the chat that's dialoguing and providing their feedback. Definitely appreciated. This is a well needed and healthy conversation. Okay.
Absolutely. That's exactly my point, brother. I'm glad you said that. This is a well-needed and healthy conversation. We need to be taught before we can do anything, is we need to be talking about this. Okay? I put it like this. When you are attempting to rebuild a nation that has been destroyed, you can't build a single structure until you rebuild the spirit of the people. Come on,
That's a
somebody.
good point. That's a good point you brought out. That's one of the points I wanted to make. In order for reparation to even be talked about, the redlining around our communities have to stop, of course, and we know that's not going to happen. A lot of resources we are cut out of just based on where we live and where we get our education and who we are in general. if you live outside of certain communities, you privy to good housing, good education, and the best resources available to you. But they purposely did that right after we were taken out of slavery, and right after sharecropping and all the other stuff that had happened to us, to where even if we try and build ourselves up, we would literally have to do it collectively, bringing our money together and our resources in order to do it, without the support of the government who's supposed to be paying those reparations.
Exactly, sis. Um, and I think that it really is up to us to come together. We need to do that for ourselves, but these other nations that are looking at us, they need to see us doing it. We don't think about that. I want to also talk about a mental condition that many of our people can suffer from because of the modern day effects of the enslavement in America. One is called post-traumatic slave syndrome. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. That means the problems and issues, mental issues that people can have after their enslavement. Okay, and these issues can carry on hundreds and hundreds of years, because what you're doing is you're passing it down through generation to generation to generation, and we are removed from that knowledge. We don't look at that. There's another condition called psychonegrosis. Psychonegrosis got the word Negro in it. And what psychonegrosis is: a mental disorder affecting the spirit, personality, motives, and actions of Negroes who have failed to rid themselves of the psychological ills they've occurred from collective experience with foreigners. Okay, collective experience with foreigners, marked by distorted ideal of self and others. So whether you are on the poverty level, American Negro, if you're middle class American Negro, even if you are one of these wealthy, very wealthy American Negroes who have all the money you need, you're doing nothing for your people, but you got all the money you need, you're gonna have this issue. You may not admit that you have this. This may offend you to say that King James would have this, or that Oprah Winfrey would have this, or that Gayle King would have this, or that Whoopi Goldberg would have this condition. But if you're not coming together for your people, and you're an American Negro, and you've got some clout, and you've got some power in America, you're suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. You don't love your people. I'm getting some feedback. What is that?
Sister Ilah, I think you got some background noise.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead. I can mute your mic for a second.
The devil, yeah, trying to. I want to use Oprah Winfrey as a quick example. Now, she started with the Oprah Winfrey Show in Chicago back in the day, and she built her empire. And when it came time for her to finally do something for our people, she chose to go to South Africa. She didn't want to help American blacks. I believe she was instructed not to, but the excuse that she gave was, when she went into the inner city to help a school of black people, she said she casually said, well, all they wanted was iPhones and cell phones and games. She said they wanted video games. They didn't want to learn. Well, sit down and talk with them and teach them what they need. Don't just walk away from them. She turned her back on American blacks, needy American blacks, and went to South Africa and built a school. Am I wrong?
I mean, that's actually a great point you just made. I was talking to my husband last night about children and how they accept education. It's based on what you feed your children. And prime example, my son is only 5 years old and he reads at a second grade level. But that's only because I constantly get on him about reading and practicing his writing. So he loves education. He loves numbers. But ask him if he want to play a video game. He'll look at you crazy. He'll watch you play it, but he don't want to play it himself. But it's based on how you guide them, because the Bible says that you're supposed to train up a child in the way that they must go. And a lot of parents are very hands off when it comes to their children's education and how they learn and how they're reared up, to where when they become adults, they're surprised that they want nothing to do with the Bible. They want nothing to do with how you want them to be, but they desire to be something totally different.
Exactly. And that's another thing that we did as a people during the 1960s civil rights movement. What did we do? We fought to integrate schools,
Exactly.
to send
That
our
was
children
the
into white
worst
schools.
thing we did.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the worst things we did, was to fight to put our children into these schools with white people, a place that they did not want us, a place that we were not welcome. Yet we fought, we begged, we pleaded, please, please. And it's just been the worst thing for our people. It's just divided us. It's cut us off from being a nation. We think we're like them.
It's more issues than that, though. The sad part about it is, okay, so here's a little background about my education. So my mom's mom was homeschooled, my grandmother, and she sent her daughter to the public school system. And then my mother sent us to the public school system. And the public school system not only failed my mother, but it failed a lot of my siblings as well. Because my mom, she struggles to read on her own. She's good with numbers, but she cannot read on her own. She's always asking for help to read certain information. And the only reason why I'm better at reading is because I actually gained a love of reading, because I'm very antisocial when it comes to interacting with people when I was younger. Now I'm coming out of that. But I say that to say I grew up in the public school system, and I know that I wanted my son to have nothing to do with that, because I seen what had happened to boys. My brother had the same issue. He struggles to read. He struggles to do a lot of stuff like filling out certain applications. These are skills that are not taught in the school system. And I know we're supposed to be talking about reparation, but what goes hand in hand with reparation is education and history and the treatment of our people. And
Exactly.
One thing that is not expressed or emphasized enough is the detachment from the parents to the children when it comes to sending these kids to these school systems and these churches. I spoke to my nieces and nephews yesterday, and I had challenged them to read the first 5 books of the Bible. And my niece was okay with reading, and I told them if you didn't want to read, then I would keep your cell phone for however long I wanted. My nephews would rather me take their phones than read. And that's how far we are from our children to even not understand that they don't desire to read, because all you do is turn on the TV to get them out of your hair.
Come on.
That doesn't help our children. Our children need to be
sis.
right next to us learning what we're learning. They need to be guided. They need to be instructed. Yes, a TV is a good way to get them out of your hair for like 10, 15 minutes, but not all day. Yeah. That should not be an all day thing. And I'm speaking from experience, because what I see when the TV comes on with children is they become zombified.
Yes.
Whether it's educational, no matter what it is, they become zombified once that screen comes on. And whatever they were going on before then is forgotten.
Yeah, you know what, sis? It's funny that you say that, because my wife, she gets on me about, because I work all the time, and whenever I get home, I just be trying to chill, and when I'm off work and everything, I just want to relax. And my wife, she be wanting to break from from watching our daughter and everything. So I'm like, all right, so I'm like, all right, okay, like I'll hang out with her, and I'll just put on the TV because I'm just trying to relax, But then she'll actually get on me about not allowing her too much TV time or too much screen time. We've actually been going back and forth about whether we should get her a tablet or not. Like we've been going back and forth about that for a long time. I mean, she's been winning that so far, but that's only because I do see what she's saying, So yeah, so I definitely hear you, because that is my prayer, and my hope is that my daughter can have that, as you said, being able to read at 2nd grade level by the time she's 5.
Exactly.
How old is she?
She's currently 3 right now.
You can start now. I mean, a lot of people wait until their child is 5 years old to put them in these school systems or to start teaching them. You can start now with simple stuff like sounds, letters, and sight words. How I got my son to read at second grade level is I have been having him on this Your Baby Can Learn program. And I wish that an Israelite would create something like this so my kids won't be looking at white people. But but I started my son at 3 months watching these videos where they go over sounds, words, colors, and all that, right? And this is why he gained a love of knowledge. Like my son, he has the memory of an elephant to where like certain things he can recall off the back of his head, you know. You won't know that he's this smart because he's the silliest thing in the world. But but if you sit down and talk to him, you can ask him simple stuff like, what is hydrocephalus? And he'll tell you it's when you have water on the brain. How does this kid know this? Because he likes reading books that are above his level.
Mm-hmm.
And that information actually came from a medical, family medical book that's for adults.
Wow. All praises.
Beautiful.
All praises. All right. So
say this
all right, so
that
just let me chime in real quick. So we're about an hour into the show right now. We're about an hour and some change into the show right now. I'm gonna let you guys have the floor for maybe about 10 more minutes.
Okay.
Maybe about 10 to 15 more minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting ready to send out this link because we got some people that do wanna chime in. Okay.
I don't think she heard you. She's distorting. But I want to bring up 2 more points real quick. I want to make sure that she's okay though.
Yeah. Her computer's kind of going out a little bit. Hey, sis, I don't know if you can hear us, but I think your connection's kind of going out a little bit over there. But again, I will be sending out the link in about 10, 15 more minutes. You can go ahead and come on. We can continue this conversation. I'm gonna send it out a little early, because again, this is a conversation that needs to be had. I usually wait until about 30 minutes before we get ready to sign out. I may push it a little bit more today. I may cut it up at about 2.5 hours because I got some things I need to handle. But let me go ahead and bring the sister back in real quick. Yeah. Sorry. So no, it's all good, sis. So I will be sending out the link. It will be going out into the chat in about 10, 15 minutes. I'm gonna let them go ahead and continue on with the information that they bringing out. And then after that, we're gonna go ahead open up the panel for more people to come on and to build and to bring that discussion. All right. So go ahead.
Okay, so one thing I just wanted to make a mention about white people. I just want to say something, and that is that even though they're the ones who are notorious for the racism, they're the ones who created the racism. There have been selected few white people who have been in our quarter, and here's one statement that a white man made by the name of Chris Silber here in Los Angeles, and he made this comment on August 30th. Probably about 10 years ago. And he said this in defense of Black people. Let me get this straight, America. You terrorize and enslave an entire race for over 300 years. Ban them from your privileges for the next 100 years. Fill 2/3 of your prison cells with them until today. And you get angry when they don't applaud your history. So it's sometimes refreshing to hear a white person talk like that. Now, let me take it a step further, though. That doesn't mean we need to marry them. That doesn't mean we need to procreate with them. We can respect them. We can have respect for them from where they are. We don't have to, attack them on sight or cuss them out on sight or call them names. But we need to be about rebuilding our own nation. We need to be about our own people. We need to reintroduce Black love into our nation of people, because all we've done is we've weeded ourselves out. The other thing I wanted to just remind people of is some details about the Black Wall Street and how influential it was. There may be some people who didn't realize that there were 600 businesses that were destroyed, 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, 6 private planes, plus a hospital, a bank, a post office, schools, libraries, law offices, even a bus system. Okay? The affluent, hardworking community was bombed from the air and burned to the ground by mobs of envious white people. Okay? So I just wanted to give you the scope of what was in Black Wall Street, how powerful it was, how self-sustaining it was, how successful it was, and how rivaled it was. Okay? They had, back in that time, they had 5-star hotels that rivaled any hotel in New York or Los Angeles. Okay, so I know that there's a lot of people who widely know about Black Wall Street, but some of those details have been hidden. And this is one of America's dirty secret that was swept under the rug. So, and here's what we can't be afraid. We can't operate in fear regarding stepping forward and speaking up for ourselves. We have to be willing to be bold and to be proud and to be confident when we're talking about these things. Fear has 2 meanings. Okay, FEAR, fear, forget everything and run, or FEAR, face everything and rise. The choice is yours.
Do you mind me addressing 2 comments?
Not
Melvin
at all. Not at
Augustine,
all.
yes, I do agree. We're not supposed to try and educate our children based on this system's educational criteria. That's what got us in this situation right here, right now, to this day, all the way from women's liberation to what's going on right now. So I do agree with you 100%. And LM, great precepts. Thank you for sharing. And thank you. Yes, I try hard, and I pray that all sisters in this walk and out of this walk do strive to be better mothers to their children, because it's not easy. But go ahead.
Okay, awesome. I also wanted to bring up a point regarding incarceration in America, and that people get just some understanding on that. Okay, low crime rates in America are bad for business. White-owned private prisons don't like low crime rates. Okay, the prison industry complex has ordered the United States to keep the beds full or face stiff penalties. Private prisons have contracts that state if they fall below a certain percentage of capacity, that the states must pay the private prisons billions or get sued. Public interest found quotas for prisoners in over 60 contracts, ranging from mandatory mandatory occupancy of 70% in California up to 100% in Arizona. We found 41 out of 62 contracts contain occupancy requirements. Okay, so Kamala Harris is probably fueled by this, and the scapegoat is Black people. Well, let's keep Black people in there. Let's keep them in there. We got quotas to meet.
That's
Let's
an
jump up.
interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to a podcast with this rapper called Bone Thug, that was a part of Bone Thugs and Harmony. I think he called himself Crazy Bone, and he was talking about how he was in a private meeting where the industry basically admitted that they invested heavily in the prison system, and how they wanted certain artists to change their sounds to basically trigger the youth into wanting to participate in drugs and gangs and stuff like that, so that they could be more subject to incarceration.
Exactly. And sis, did you know about the
So
recent interview that NWA did, the rap group called Niggas with an Attitude? They stepped forward and they said, we are no longer afraid. And we want to tell you about a meeting that we went to in Malibu, California in the early 90s. And it was about about using rap music. It was about, the meeting was about using rap music to get into the spirit of Black people, to get them to commit crimes against themselves, and to get them continually wrapped up in incarceration in America. Okay, so they came forward and they told about that meeting. A gang member stepped forward and told of back when he was gangbanging, he told of crates of guns that were dropped off in the hood. He said he woke up one morning about 5 a.m. and he was walking through the alley and he stumbled upon a crate of guns. And he went and got his homie and said, hey, there's some crates of guns in the alley. And they didn't question. At the time, they did not question where they came from. They passed those guns out. And as circumstances would bring forth, they would kill each other with those guns. And during some of these murder investigations, police are going to gun shops, trying to get information about the weapons that were used in some of these murders. And these gun shop owners, gun shop dealers are going, where did this high-powered military gun come from? How did this get on the street? How did these gangbangers get their hands on this high-powered assault rifle? So it's been an all-out war against our people. Okay, so there's just a plethora of information regarding the crimes and atrocities and the crafty counsel that is out there against our people. All praises to the Most High for truth coming forth.
Oh, so my apologies. I had muted myself for a second. All right, family. So, ooh, man, I'm just looking at this chat, man. You done stirred up the pot on this one, Well,
am I being heard?
Yeah, I mean, but hey, this is why the conversation needs to be had. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and send the link out. All right. Now I'm gonna post this. All right. So now you see what the rules are. Okay. If you come on here, if there's any disrespect, any name calling, or things of that nature, you will be removed from the platform. Debate Talk for You does not tolerate that here. Okay. Sal has worked on building this platform for well over 10 years, and this will not be tolerated. Okay. So it's okay to share your opposing views if you have them. That's perfectly fine. Okay. But again, if there's any name calling, any disrespect, or any foul language, you will be removed from the platform. And moderators are already in there. I already know who's like a moderator in there. They know all the rules as well, because they are also co-hosts on this platform who host their own shows. Okay, so if it's going on in the chat, or if you come on here and if it happens, you will be removed. And I have to say it like this more than any other show that's already been done because of this topic. Okay, so again, let's keep it peaceful. Let's keep it respectful. Remember, for those of us who are keeping the Sabbath today, it is a Sabbath, so let's not kindle that fire. Okay, let's try to avoid the strife and contention if at all possible. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and send out the link. And we're going to wait for people to come on, and I'll give you back the floor. Right?
Okay.
All right, so the floor is all yours. You can go ahead, and as they come in, I'll just go ahead and bring them on.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm just going to plug up my situation so I don't lose my charge. Okay.
All right, and so now the link is out. The StreamYard link is out. If you want to go ahead and come on, you can. I'll try to get on as many people as I can. I think I can get up to about 10 people on at a time. There's already 3, so I can bring on about 7 more, and then each person will just have to wait. All right, so yeah, again, if you want to come on, please share your thoughts. opinions, opposing views. If you have any, just remember, let's just keep it respectful. All right. All right. So we got a brother BA, Ben Abraham in the building. What's going on? Shalom.
Greetings and much love to you, Gabbar. It's been a long time. How you been, brother?
I've been all right, man. I actually been asking about you, man. Wondering where you been at, man, because everybody been kind of on a little hiatus since I guess the pandemic hit. So everybody just been kind of doing their own thing.
Nah, I just what I've been doing as of late, just me working and doing the usual. Waiting for the season to start back up on. I do the more so on the phone, the Blog Talk Radio. That's my preference. So I will be back to bring more content dealing with more social matters. I think we've heard enough when it comes to certain teachings or theological discussions. And as a community, I think, and I honestly believe that we have to show some type of maturity, some type of growth to show that we can move beyond theology at times. I mean, I'm not speaking against the fact that we have our faith in the Most High God. I just believe that we have to take it further to be much more effective to make sure that He reigns supreme and that we belong to Him overall.
Sure.
Right, most definitely, and that's why that's the purpose of this spiritual food Sabbath meal. It's not. I mean, even though I am going to come on and try to bring some teachings out, I definitely want to try to have other people on, so that way we can discuss other issues, because we got a lot of pressing issues that go on, and it's just a lot of times we're just constantly debating doctrine when we got real issues going on amongst our community that we need to address. That's in scriptures that are still going on. So we definitely need to have these conversations.
Most definitely, I agree with you, brother, 100%. And thank you for sending out the link and allowing me to come on and expound with brother King Melek and sister Ilah. And forgive me, sister, if I butchered your name. I'm B.A. Ben Abraham. How you two doing today?
All praises, brother. Welcome on. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you listening. And we'll be happy to hear your comment or your question or see what wisdom you might have to add to the subject.
Me personally, brother, I appreciate the fact that you're able to come on to Debate Talk for You. This is a platform that me and Gabbar are associated with. And I stand with you 100%. I don't necessarily have an issue with reparations. I'm just very critical when this topic comes up, because as believers in the Most High, we understand that the world is totally dead set against us.
Sure.
And then we got to also remember we were put in captivity based on I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. We were put in these conditions based on our ancestors' disobedience.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
And another thing is that, yes, are there some influencing factors that have helped prolong the oppression? But number one, we have to remember the oppression and the affliction comes from the Most High God to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Because He also wrote in the curses, I will rejoice over you to bless you, and I will also to rejoice over you to curse you. So I understand where you're coming from, brother. I'm not against you at all. I just think at times as brothers and sisters, we tend to forget where all this pressure is coming from overall.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. That's a good point to bring out, because coming out of Christianity, that's not a point that's taught at all. So we do need to remember that the Most High put the curses on us based on the iniquities of our forefathers. That's the reason for this. My point in we're alive in these modern times, and that we do need to be working and surviving. We got to live, we got to eat, we got to breathe. We are people of gifts and talents. And I think that it's important that we begin to create a commerce amongst ourselves and between ourselves. And many of the services that we go to these other nations from, we need to begin to come to each other. Now, one example I have is when I grew up, I was born in 1963. And I watched my mother and all my aunts go to Asian people, go to beauty supplies stores and purchase all of the products for the care of their black hair and their black skin from Asian people. So I believe that we're here today in these modern times, and we need to turn that type of stuff around. and begin to create that commerce between ourselves. And reparations from America would be awesome. Would be good if we could get some land, some land redistributed to us, and we can actually literally create our own commerce, our own cash flow. Money will help, but I think if we get the resources first, we can build that commerce ourselves. History shows that, ancient and recent.
You know, I stand with you on that. Oh, I'm sorry, brother. Finish up.
No, wait, no, I was done.
No, you know what? And thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And I agree with you on that as well. I just this is just me. Let's just say hypothetically next week we get an announcement saying, okay, this system is considering on actually giving us some type of reparations, rather it be land or some type of material funds or whatever it may be. Let's just say hypothetically, okay, they're considering it. What conclusion as a people, what do we need to, what is it on our end that we have to come to? Or overall as a people, let me just word it that way. Mm-hmm. Overall as a people, are we to be united as overall Black people in America to get these reparations? Mm-hmm. And with that being said, do you think it's gonna take more than that for any type of system or any type of faction within the system to give us something? Because you know how things are in the system. Before you get something, you have to show that you're worthy enough to be given.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
So the thing is, our people, I mean, these are hard facts. A lot of people don't like me. They call me Uncle Tom and all that kind of stuff because I stick to the facts. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, as a people overall, we are very unorganized.
Come on.
That's true.
We are last in wealth.
I'm right there with you. Yes.
Last in finances.
Valid point. Yes.
So what type of collateral or something that's going to be worth giving us something that we have in return? I mean, what can a faction give us as a people overall feeling confident that they're going to give us something?
Mm-hmm. Brother, it begins with us coming together. And coming together is going to mean we begin to repair each other's spirit. Okay? And that's going to mean we're going to start trusting each other. So what we've got to do is we've got to develop a task force. Some brothers have to come together on a team and get together and begin to organize our people. We begin to talk about the organization. And the first thing we got to do is we got to set up the counseling services that are going to be needed for our people to come together and talk about what's going on inside of them and get the training that's going to redirect their thinking. That's how we got to start, because we won't be able to build any structure until we rebuild the heart of our people. There's some people that we're going to have to carry on our shoulders. There's some people that may not recover, but what we got to do is be active about creating the provisions for some of the services that we go to these heathen nations for to come from ourselves. So it's going to start with us coming together as men. I think as Hebrew Israelites, we got to rely on the tribe of Judah, okay, the brothers who are serious, the serious priests and warriors and kings in the tribe of Judah. We're the head tribe. We need to set up the leadership. We need to set up the task force. And we got to be able to respect each other and trust each other to do this. That's the only way that we're going to be able to do this. And when these heathen nations see us do that, we become worthy to them in their. But first, we got to become worthy to the Most High before His eyes. But we know that the Most High put them over us and in control. He granted them the power to do what they're doing. So we are going to have to allow them to see us coming together, to see us getting organized and trusting each other and caring about each other and offering those services and those resources that we go to all these other nations for. We've got to begin to provide those services to each other. So we need a building. We need buildings across America. We need to get buildings, and we need to start meeting. We need to get that task force of leadership together to begin talking about this and getting it organized. That's my response.
You know, I'm in union organizing,
Okay.
getting together with different workers.
Hey,
Oh, I'm
hey, one
sorry.
second. Hey,
Yeah,
one
go ahead,
second.
brother.
Sister Ilah, like she wanted to respond to your previous question.
Okay,
Oh.
go ahead, sir.
My whole thing is the scripture said, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" I mean, we all know how the nation of Israel is and how divided we are based on doctrine and what we believe. So, in order for any of that to even start, we have to start hashing out our differences,
Exactly.
in order to even build together to say, okay, this is where we're going to build. This is what we're building on. This is what we believe. I do believe that the reason why that's one of the reasons why we are so disorganized. Two, as far as reparations, I believe if we actually got reparations, there's always a catch to it when it comes to the system, because even if you start a nonprofit organization, there's rules and regulations that come with that. You can't just not include anybody in the organization that you build under a 501c3, and
Right.
you have to fall under their criterias of what they allow you to teach and don't teach, and what they allow you to do and not do. So I believe when it comes to reparations, there's limitations with that too, as far as what you can and cannot do, and who's included and who isn't. Because when you look at the Native Americans, they get reparations, but they have a limitation as to who gets it and who doesn't. If you're below 1/4 of Native American blood, you're not getting any reparations.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. And
So
those native reparations are going out to the transplant Native Americans. You're looking at the 18th to 21st century Native Americans. What about the 14th to 17th century natives that were here thousands and thousands of years before Christopher Columbus got here? Those indigenous 14th century to 17th century natives were Negroes, Black people, dark skin.
Mm.
So the transplants are getting the reparations. So we got to come together for our own people. And I know about the limitations that are out there. I don't think that we would be working under a 501c3. I don't see myself working under a 501c3, even though I actually have one. But when I learned about it, when I read the contract, that the details, the clauses that are in the 501c3 contract, you are limited. You can't do anything. You're basically a slave to them, and you're able to receive as much money as you want to without having any of it taxed.
All right. All right. Before we continue on, just got a question here that was posted in the chat. Are there some from Elaine72? There are some blacks here in America who didn't descend from slaves. Are they to receive reparations?
There's an order that which reparations would be dispersed. Okay, so the first people in line for it would be the modern day descendants of American Negro slaves. So we'd have to go to work proving that, and there's a way to prove it. There's a way to pursue that, because in these modern times, the racist white people don't look at black people and go, well, this person is from freed black slaves, so let's not treat them bad. You're black, you're black. So there is a level of reparations that they would get, because unfortunately, if you're black, and you've been caught up in racism at some point. But they would not receive as much, and they would not receive it at first. They would not get in line before the descendants of American Negro slaves.
All right. BA, I know you had wanted to make like another comment about something else before the sister had chimed in. You can go ahead with your comment.
No, I just wanted to say, now I am a factory worker / I'm into union organizing in my local as well. And one thing about organizing that's not very easy. You have to convince people and show them that they're relevant,
Mm-hmm.
especially when there's a system that has shown them that at times they're not. So when it comes to some of our people, I'm not going to say all, but when it comes to some of our people, a lot of them have given up and they just take it for what it is. What they see and what is displayed on social media and on television pretty much is enough said and done for most. How do we convince them? Because we're going to need participation from that portion of our people, and this, which is our whole bunch of them, a lot of them. You got to remember, there's people. A lot of our people still do not vote. A lot of our people still do not participate in the civil liberties that they have living in the United States, and I can understand why they don't, but they still have these privileges. You know what I'm saying? So how do we? I mean, as far as organizing, you brought up some good points about building different little groups and having brothers and sisters getting together. And those are beautiful things, but how do we go about that from a start?
We start with those who are willing, who are on board, who are like-minded like us. And then we show those doubters, we show them by our actions. We show them by our progress. We show them by our commitment. They're going to have to see it to believe it.
I mean, for the naysayers, oh, sorry.
No, sister, go ahead. For
the naysayers, I would address the issues that we're all tired of. Are you tired of being racially discriminated against? Are you tired of feeling like a slave even though you think you're free? Are you tired? When are you going to be tired of this system in order to actually change and build something for yourself to where you won't feel the way you feel now?
Exactly, sis.
Because there's a community in the South of, I think, 19 families of so-called African Americans that bought like 90 acres and they built it like a little sanctuary for so-called African Americans. How it's going, I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that us separating ourselves will eliminate all our problems, but I'm pretty sure it would help, because there's even a group of Israelites that left during the late 90s that went to Dimona, Israel. And I know they're having problems out there now, but again, it is doable. We can separate. We can build something of our own. Now, the question is the Most High with us? Are we building this just to isolate ourselves and continue doing what we're doing? That's the issue right there.
That is the issue. That is the issue, because
he's right.
You know, we want change, but at the same time, let's just say that we're granted the privilege of having our own. Who's to say we won't start acting like white supremacy?
Exactly.
As soon as we get in power. And see, that's what it says in Proverbs chapter 3 and 31, not to hate your oppressor and to take none of his ways. Because what happens when you hate your oppressor? You start acting like him.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you know what I mean? So that's the thing. So I stress to a lot of my brothers and sisters, do not display hate for those who have caused you turmoil and drama. Yes, I understand it's hard to forgive. Yes, I understand it's hard to turn away from it and just forget it. Believe me, forgive, but don't ever forget. But I think with a lot of our people, we have to learn to forgive. And I know that is a hard stumbling. I know it's a stumbling block. I know it is. And who's to say I can blame? Who can we blame ourselves for not being forgivable? I mean, for not being forgivable? I mean, look what continues to happen. But at the same time, we have to learn how to move on and show some type of maturity and growth and show that we're willing to bypass it. And the reason why that we have to move on, because even though we have been afflicted, who gets the most affliction? We do it to ourselves. So if we learn how to move on, we can better help ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, separation. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
No, I agree with that. You're right on point with that. And I had made a comment that the tribe of Judah needed to be in the head of this. And so that means that this task force, the leadership, every brother, it's got to be built of brothers who are in the truth and following the Ten Commandments, who understand the Torah, who are living this walk. That has to be, the leadership has to be made up of brothers like that. And they also have to be willing to lead and direct other nations. You're not just going to lead Israel. You got to be an example for everybody that's looking at you, for everybody who might need some encouragement or some direction. Okay, so you got to be about your own people, but about everybody else. Okay, so that the leadership has to be made up of those type of brothers.
All
Now,
right, all right.
personally, I'm
All
sorry.
right, hey, 1 second. Let me just bring in another person. So we got Anonymous Hebrew. I believe that's you, man, sitting in the background over there with the mic muted, man. And welcome aboard. All right.
Hey, shalom, shalom. Peace to the panel. Peace to the brother King Melek, to the sister Ilah, and to the brother
Hey,
BA.
you kind of low, bro.
All right, let me fix it. Is it better now?
Oh yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, there we go. All right, peace to the panel. Peace to, thanks for letting me on, Gabbar. Peace to the brother King Melek, the sister
All praises.
Ilah, and to the brother BA. Y'all know what it is.
Yo, what's going on?
What's going on? It's a fascinating conversation. Just wanted to throw in my 2 cents. I agree with much of what has been said. I agree that we need to figure something out. As it pertains to the case of reparations, my concern is, even with the ADOS movement or any other movement, many of these people are going to tell us that we have to come in and compromise our faith. I've tried a lot to try to build with a lot of these brothers, and that's the problem. I have no problem working with brothers in leading other nations, as the brother King Melek said. But when it comes to compromising our faith, that's not what we're going to do.
Exactly. That's right.
Go ahead, Doc.
No, you're right. We cannot do that. We're not compromising our faith. We got to walk in our faith.
Right.
We got to walk in this truth and lead others into it. Okay. Be examples. And there'll be those who will not agree with it. There'll be those who are uncomfortable with it, but we got to lead them too in some type of way.
Well, I think the scripture shows us how, right? And so then, speaking to the point you were talking about, creating organizations, the first thing I would say is we don't have to do a 503. We can do a 508c1a, right? So it gives us all of the abilities of an FBO, of a faith-based organization, but we don't have the freedom of speech restrictions, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that we can start to look into. The other thing is we have to become educated in wealth, right? So I've taken a lot of time to understand how to build wealth and get licensed on, how to do life and wealth management, and get into the things like the Series 6 and the Series 65 on being able to properly set up the avenues to create generational wealth, because we understand that it's not going to be us. It's going to be our children that are actually going to step into all of the things that we're setting up right now.
That's right.
Right. So that's also the next point. And then I heard the sister talking about education at home. We're a huge proponent of this at our home as well. I love to hear our children. It's great to know that other people are doing the same thing, that our children are, 5 and 6 years old, reading on 2nd and 3rd grade levels, right? This is imperative, because our children really have to be doing it better, right? That's something we were taught growing up, but it seemed to get lost on this new generation, right? We're so far behind that we have to do things at a higher rate, at a higher clip than our oppressor. And then finally, like BA was saying, we have to remove the hate, right? And the brother King Melek, he brought it up. The way we do this now is to teach the law. I see a lot of doctrine teaching, and those things are great, but we're not teaching the law, right? There is such a breakdown when you talk to some of our brothers and sisters who are quote unquote Christians. They go to church on Sunday and things like this. There is such a breakdown in understanding of the law, and I think we get lost in translation, right?
That's right.
So if we can get to the point where we can do that, that's our task force. The brothers who are doing that, the sisters who are doing that, that's our initial foundational task force. And then we unite under some type of new kingdom council, new kingdom covenant, or whatever the word we agree on, and we push forward. And that's the foundation of our kingdom.
That's right. All praises. I agree with that.
All right. So, sister, like Ilah, you have a question that you want to ask the brother?
Yeah, Anonymous Hebrew. I would love information about the financial literacy that you was talking about. I believe my email is included in the description. But definitely be in contact with me, because I would love for my children to learn more information about that. I've been looking for information on it for children, but it's very rare to find it. And I agree with you with everything that you're saying. But that's the only point I wanted to make.
Got you. No doubt. I'll reach out to you, sister.
Yeah, Anonymous brother, you're bringing out the very important points. And what I'm seeing from this conversation is that as we put this task force together, each brother is going to come in with his level of knowledge and expertise, and bring that to the table, and we're going to come together. We're all going to be experts on different points. We all have education in different areas, but all of those different areas are going to come together to build one nation. So we're absolutely going to need you coming in with your knowledge on the financial end of it. This brother who's got organization skills also is going to be needed. So that's how this is going to come together, with brothers who coming in with their different gifts and talents.
I would just like to say this. I agree with everything that's been said on the platform, and great blessings to the brother Anonymous. My thing is that you said something that stood out, brother Melek.
Yes.
You said that we're gonna have to build this on the law, statutes, and commandments, and Judah has to usher in leadership or be the leaders to build this foundation on.
Yes.
And I don't oppose that at all. Now, but this is the one thing that I do believe that we as Black people or as Israelites, us who identifies as being Israelites, we're going to have to learn how to leave our people behind who reject the faith that we have.
Exactly.
A lot of us online, we were so into, and I'm just not just talking about online, all over. And I think we have all drunk of this cup. We get involved and we have so much love for our brothers and sisters just based on the fact that we're the same skin color or we come out of the same household or families. And then as we grow older, we tend to think different and we go different directions in life. And we understand that keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, known as Hashem or Yahweh, whichever you prefer to call them, we understand that as salvation for our people. But then we have a good portion of people who reject that. So I believe overall, in order for Israel to be effective and to make sure that the Most High gets all the glory, we have to completely, while doing this, setting this foundation that we're speaking of, it's a hard thing to say, but for those who reject and who are not believers in the Most High, they either get left behind, or when the time comes, when we're available to them, or when we have the means to come back and holler at them and help out, we do that. But we can no longer put our guy on the side for the sake of being friends and brothers and sisters with others who look like us who reject them. We can no longer afford to do that, and not even in this day and age now. Look what's going on in society today. As you can see, the line has been drawn, and for some reason, I just see that a lot of our people, they're still not aware of what's going on. As long as they're posting from their Facebook account, they think nothing is wrong, and we have been deceived overall as people.
That's right, Khan. I agree with 100%.
I agree. I think the answer to that is like Deuteronomy 30, right? If we understand Deuteronomy 30 verses 1 through 10, and this is when it comes to this type of talk, I lean heavily on that chapter. And in those first 10 verses, what you find out is we're going to be in our land of captivity, however we view this, right? Some say we are, some say we aren't. I'm not going to argue that, but we're going to be dispersed. And at that time, we're going to bring these things to the nations. And in some ways, that even speaks to our brothers and sisters who may have been a part of this at one time in their history and then let it go. So like we've been saying, it starts with that core foundation, right? And then those that see it and want to come into it and can get a hold of it and can understand it, cool. Those that can't, and I'm guilty of this especially, right? I've tried so hard to build with the other brothers on other platforms and other panels, and you will lose your witness. I'm telling you right now. All right.
Yeah, I know.
You will really mess up because they have a tendency to purposely try to push you, right? You have to separate. BA made it excellent. You have to separate.
You do.
Those that are serious, they will come to it because what Yeshua said, those that hear that are my sheep, they hear my voice. Right. Those that will hear this, they will come into this and they will hear this and they will grow. I'm watching Torah only brothers who they're so close to finally coming into this. Right. And I won't say the brother's name, but he did an excellent lesson last night on Isaiah 53. He's a Torah only brother. And he's saying, you can't say that this is Israel anymore because we know it's not Israel. He said, I can't say that it's Yeshua yet, but I can't tell you that it's Israel anymore. I can just say I don't have enough information yet. Right? That's
Ooh.
right.
Yeah.
So that's growth. We need that. Right? So we won't throw anybody away. But for those of us that are ready, let's work. I know a bunch of brothers that are ready to work. Let's work.
That's right. Salakia. Khan, I'm hearing you. And I think that this is how we need to proceed. This show is going to be on regular, so we're going to be able to set something up. But I think as I continue to do this show, the brothers will come out of the woodwork, and I want to get your information so that we can start with a conversation, and I can be introduced to the other brothers that you know and see what we can put together. Let's move forward with something.
Con, I'm with it. And BA tell you, Gabbar tell you, there's a lot of brothers. You know, you got brothers like Zadok, who's out in New York. They're doing amazing things out in New York, right?
Yeah, the brothers in Buffalo, New York, man, they have an actual community. And they build everything on the lost. I mean, first they build everything on the Messiah. And on top of that, to support it, the law, statutes, and commandments. And they do everything. They have cut themselves off from society. And they have their own commune. And they live, and they do according to what the apostles set up in Acts chapter 2 and Acts chapter 4. Everything having in common. And I think it's about that time for us as Israelites in this community to start putting organizations or brothers and sisters of that nature on the front line to learn from that. Because what I see, this is just me. Like I said, I could be wrong, but this is the things that I have noticed. Maybe I have tunnel vision, but it is what it is. I see too much competition. I see too much of this group versus that group.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the new doctrine, or we have the best doctrine, or if you're not with us, then it ain't the best doctrine, or whatever it may be. It's a lot of slogans and rhetoric, and it's not necessarily about promoting community. It's more so about, if you ain't with this, it's like the gang bang mentality. Me, I'm in Northern California, so it's all too familiar to me. I know it when I see it. So we have to start putting brothers on the front line who are actually living this, having a community of various brothers and sisters who decide to come together and to have all in common, and to understand this law, to understand the Torah, and bring it to its full establishment, just like the Messiah did. Know what I'm saying?
Con.
All right. So we got Michael Paul. We live on the air. All right? Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, peace and blessings to all the Israel of God and Christ Yeshua. I hope everybody's having a blessed Shabbat. I just wanted to come in and interject a little bit on the topic of reparations. Me, myself, I'm pretty much like Malik. My parents and great-grandparents were slaves in Mississippi cotton fields. My mother was actually a baby on my grandmother's back and almost died from eating the cotton gin while my grandmother was picking the cotton. I still have a great aunt that's still alive, and she was picking cotton in the cotton field. So the timeline that the brother gave earlier is really incorrect. It's more recent than just the 18 I believe he said 1840s or 1830s. Forgive me if I misquote the timeline, but I believe it was more recent. And the time now is now to strike while the iron's hot, to get these things done, while the conversation, while we have favor from the goyim, while they have some type of softness in their heart to give us a stage to present our case and to further our cause for these reparations, to make the generational wealth gap that's been a real curse upon the black community, or the minority communities as a general, but speaking directly to the ones that were in the slave fields and came out of the slavery, being cracked in the back with a whip, cattail whip, having their flesh ripped off, and just for trying to get a cup of water or something, And so we just see all these things, and we need to definitely stay on topic on this topic, and don't let it subside, don't let it wash away like we see now in these Black Lives Matter movement, how it's washing away after a few months. Nobody's in the streets protesting everything. No demands were met, but everything's just went away like everybody does. When everything's very prevalent, it seems like a trend or a fad to be a part of something, and we can't allow this to continue on. The brother brought it out. It was late 1980 or early 70s when this was on the table, and then we had Barack Obama coming in and showing his little fake smile, cracking his his fake smile at people, and then trying to act like he's here for the Black American. And that's pretty much why a lot of Black Americans don't vote, because they don't have nobody up there that represents them, that it came from a slum community, a community where there's strict enforcement of police, and there's these things that are prevalent, drugs and prostitution and all these things. We just don't have that in our communities. A man that has stood up, that came out of descendants of slaveries, that came out. I think the closest we had was maybe Jesse Jackson tried to become president, but nobody really voted for him and got behind him and voted. But we get somebody who's a descendant of Africans, Africa's, a man from Africa. His dad was an African, and now we have Kamala Harris. She's an Indian. She's her family's from India, and she's not from the South or the North or any part of the transatlantic slave trade. She has no connections or ties to it, but everybody wants to jump behind this woman because she's got some type of melanin in her skin, and so it's just a lot of things that we need to do as a community, and to get this land, and it's duly needed, because the Israelites in this Bible, in this book, were nomads. They weren't a part of this city. The cities, they stood away from the cities. They looked at these cities, and they waited for God to bring vengeance on these cities and these wicked places that we see today, that we have to come in and coexist with these wicked and evil people out here in the world today, because we have to come into the city to get food, and they won't allow us to be outside of these cities. We go about outside of the city, then they come looking for us and say, "Oh no, you need to come here. You're supposed to be here on this court date. We're gonna throw you in this jail cell." So it's a lot of things going on here when people speak of reparations. It's more than just a monetary, it's a money thing. It's more of like something that's necessary for our community, so we can grow. It's been on our community's topic for a long time to build our own cul-de-sac, and have people don't drive down our road on Shabbat, and put this up. This is a community of Israelites, and we keep Shabbat. Don't drive your cars, no loud music playing on Shabbat, and we have to keep a man standing out there with a stick in his hand, a rod to poke and prod these non-believers away from our communities to keep them safe. But we see this in a lot of communities today, that they still the Amish community has a whole community set up. You don't see police coming into their communities to berate them and tell them they need to be in a school system, or why aren't your kids on school? Well, it was Hanukkah, and we don't come into school and do our own things on Hanukkah or on Passover. We're not here on Passover. Well, we're gonna hold you liable for truancy court, and we're gonna bring you to court because you're neglecting your children now, and we have to abide by all these laws that they've set up. But the Amish communities don't abide by them. The so-called Hasidic Jews don't abide by them. It's just the man who says, no, I'm not going to be a partaker of your community and your system. And I don't want your titles. I don't want your titleships of accolades. I don't need that. What I need is to be able to be providing of myself and build my own things and live by my own work of my own hands. You see, and be happy with that, and not trying to be a glutton to monetary gain and wealth. I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want your money. You see?
Right.
But peace and blessings to the panel. That's pretty much all I had to say.
Okay. Well, that was a powerful statement. Go ahead, Ilah.
I just want to say one thing. I agree with him. Everything that's being said should be an ongoing conversation, and we should start putting it into action. So I think that everybody who is talking right now and anybody in the comments who is interested can reach out to me and my husband. He has a YouTube channel right here called Sons of Isaac 144. My email address is in the description, and I think that we really can do more. Me and my husband were talking about acquiring land, but collectively we can do more. We can build a community. I agree with you 100%. There's an Israelite community in South Carolina, in Sumter, I believe. So if they can build an Israelite community, and the ones that you guys are talking about in New York, I know we definitely can do it. You know, and as far as us not being being a part of any government or any systems, that's where we have to establish a sovereign community, because that's where you're not under the authority of these governments and these systems. You don't have to answer to anybody.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Exactly. That's
we need
right.
to exchange numbers, contacts, and everything if we still want to continue doing this and actually put it into action.
That's right. That's right. I'm King Melek ZakarYah, and I'm with the Sons of Isaac Ministry, and myself and Karash, the Levite priest. We're going to be, for the Southern California area, we're going to be the beginning of the task force for Southern California area to build this community. So yeah, definitely chime on. Sister Ilah just gave the email and his email and his YouTube channel. Put your information in on there, and then we will begin to set up a meeting so that we can begin to talk about this and come together with the first plan. It'll probably be a Zoom meeting or a conference call meeting over the phone at first. We'll get the beginning of this started, and we'll go from there, my brothers.
Con, I'm definitely with it. Looking forward to having the conversation and bringing things to the table. I think I can also help in terms of the real estate situation, but I'll say that in private. A lot of people that know me know that about me already, so we can build on that. I wanted to ask one more question, just to the panel, and just to get everybody's idea. How much, or does DNA play a part in this conversation?
Be more specific.
Not saying like, oh, we got to find the Israelite DNA and things like this, but specifically in the studies that I've done with a lot of brothers, we find that there is specific migration patterns that you find if you do your own genetic study. So is there a unification that we can find with our brothers and sisters that are on the continent as well through DNA and things like that? Or do we feel that maybe that's not something that we even need to look into?
I would say personally, me personally, I would say at the moment, let's put that on hold for a hot moment and focus on us here in the States. And as time progresses, slowly but surely work on that, connected to our brothers and sisters on that other side. Because if we try to reach out to them now, which I'm pretty sure there are some type of means on that side of the planet I've heard about in Ghana, how they are offering land to us, and maybe that could be something to think about. But for us who may not want to go that direction and want to maybe establish our own and then connect with them, I mean, it just depends on which direction you want to go. It really, I mean, I wouldn't disregard it. I would consider it. But the question is, do we make that a priority now, or do we make that a priority down the line or later or as we go along? That's how I would look at it.
Right. And what I have to say on that issue is definitely we need to focus on North American soil, our people here. And I think when it comes to DNA, when we look in the Bible at Numbers 18, the 18th chapter, when it talks about how the children of Israel aligned themselves according to the house of their fathers. Okay. So somebody brought up Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is not a Negro. She's not an Israelite. Her father is a black man, but it's been brought out that his father is a Jewish man, a white man. So Kamala Harris is an Edomite. Okay. And so we're not going to hate on Edomites. We're going to show them kindness, but we're not going to put them in leadership. Okay. In any organization that any community that we, as Israelites, put together, we're not going to put Edomites in leadership. We're not going to put other heathen nations in leadership. The Most High is telling us to set our brothers over us as king. Okay, I believe that's in Deuteronomy. Is that Deuteronomy 30? I have the scripture on that. So we need to focus on our people here on North American soil. I think that we can, in some cases, we can include our people who are in the Caribbean islands, because we've been separated from those people. And if any of them can get over here, we can include them. But we do need to focus here on North American soil of our people. And we need to be respectfully able to talk to each other about our paternal lineage. Because what we're seeing already, I believe some of the problems that we have in modern day Israel is that we have brothers in leadership that may be Negro looking Edomites. And that DNA print is on that seed. There's a reason why the Most High lined it up that way, that it is your father's, it is your father which determines your race. Okay, that's the Most High's plan. That's the Creator's plan. He set it up like that for Israel. So that DNA print is on that seed. So if your father is an Edomite and you look like you're a Negro, that makes you a Negro looking Edomite. Now we can show love to you and you can be in the midst of Israel, but you will not be in leadership. Does that make sense?
Most definitely. And that verse you're talking about is, I believe, is Deuteronomy 17:15.
17, yes.
Yeah, I hear that. And so that's why we've done a lot of extensive DNA searches and things like this to figure out what's going on. And we do, like you said, we do see some commonalities in those of us who we know really are of the people, and then those that are not. And so, that's a conversation I believe we do end up having to have in the future. Not so much just for going to Africa, but even for finding out who we are here, finding out who's whom, because it becomes pertinent. And if you understand DNA, epigenetics is a really big thing, right? And it will cause you to go against a lot of the laws of the Most High, believe it or not, right? It's written in your genetic code either to want to do this or not. And I'm more than willing to have it.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
more
right.
than willing to have that conversation with brothers and sisters if you want to, but I agree with everything you were just saying.
All praises. Now, Gabbar, do we have any other questions that are coming in?
Nah, it looks like it's kind of starting to dwindle down. We're already over the 2-hour mark, so we can go ahead and start with some closing statements, and then I'll go ahead and close out the show.
Okay. Okay, very good. What I'm feeling like here is that we've covered a lot of ground, and I think the conversation has only just begun. We got some good spirit coming in from the brothers. I love these suggestions, the knowledge and the wisdom that each of these brothers have added. So we need to expound off of that. We got all the emails coming in. I'm looking at them now. So everybody is now reachable. And I'm assuming everybody who has sent an email in here is interested in coming together and being involved in the meeting that we're going to set up to begin the organization for this. So you're gonna hear from us very soon. I want everyone to stay tuned for the debut of Reparations Talk, the podcast, the weekly show. It hasn't been set exactly yet, but it will be announced here on Debate Talk when Reparations Talk will start. We're going to be able to cover a lot of ground. We're going to continue the discussion. We want to hear what's in people's hearts. We want to know what contributions people want to make, and we want to be able to direct people. We want to give them the right knowledge and correct people when they're not right and bring them into the truth. okay, and be the example of the truth as we do this thing. Am I making sense?
Sounds good.
Yeah, most definitely.
Cool. And then, Sister Ilah, did you have any thing to say in closing?
Sure. I mean, for the most part, what we can start with is starting to create and do stuff on our own. Like if you know how to make certain breads, jams, and stuff like that, which is what I'm working on, that's something you can reproduce and barter, so that once we get to that point, we won't have to reach back and
Yes. Oh, and let me just say this one thing.
Items. We can just depend on each other.
That's right. That's right, sis. And let me just say something about women. Our women are very important to us in this. So as we build this task force, we're going to need
now we should be harvesting our skills.
Yeah, she's I'm not sure what's going on with her signal. It just kind of goes like in and out, so we don't know whether she stopped talking or not.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah. You're all
okay.
good.
Yeah, I was saying we should definitely harness those skills because we never know how the economy is going to move. If you know how to sew, quilt, draw, do pottery work, construction, we need all those skills, especially if we're trying to build our own community.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's all a part of it, sis. You're on point. And I was just saying how important and significant our women are to us. And so as we build this task force, we definitely going to have the support of our women behind us because they bring in a certain wisdom and the sensibility to everything. Come on, brothers. You with me?
100%. 100%. That was going to be my final statement. It was just how nice.
I stand with you 1,000.
Yeah, so that's powerful, Sister Ilah. I appreciate every aspect you've come in with. So very much needed, very much appreciated. And as we're moving forward, like I was saying, our women are very important to this mix, especially women who understand the role of being a daughter of Zion, who who understands there's nothing wrong with being submitting to her husband and being taught by him and directed by him. And then as she's granted the permission to step out and get on her platform, that's how we need to operate in this thing. So women are very significant and very important.
Oh, ain't no nation building without women.
Come on.
I don't even know how it happened, fam, right?
That's not logic. You know what I'm saying? To sit back and say, just the women, y'all just be quiet and sit over here and don't do nothing. No, we need their perspective because they're also creating the image of the Most High. They have the aspect of wisdom, and as men, we have the aspect of knowledge, and they both go hand in hand. And that's how we're effective, and that's how the Most High is united.
Hallelujah. That's right. All praises, brothers. I'm encouraged, and I'm looking forward to starting the show and seeing where we move on from this. But all praises to the Most High. I would ask that everybody continue to be in prayer about what the Most High is placing on your heart to bring to the table from your knowledge and your wisdom and your expertise, the education that you have, and even your experience. We want to hear about your experience from your parents and your grandparents that possibly grew up in the Jim Crow South and their experience, and something that might make a difference and that would encourage us and help us as well. So all of that information is important. We won't get lost in that information, but we'll be acknowledging that information and moving forward.
That sounds good.
Okay. All right, so you, I think we're coming to a close, Gabbar, and I'll throw it back to you to do that.
All right. I just want to go ahead and give I'll go ahead and let BA give his final words, and then we'll move over to Anonymous, and then Sister Ilah, then Melek. It'll be on you. Then I'll go ahead and close out.
Okay.
No, I just want to say. Just Gabbar and to the brother King Melek and Sister Ilah and Anonymous and other brother Paul. I'm just glad to be able to come on and just build. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day. That's it, pretty much for me.
All right, hey man, you still got my number, right?
No, I changed my number, man. I got a new phone. So what we'll do, bro?
I gotta stop changing these numbers, man. so y'all, man. So too many brothers be changing their numbers on me, man. Come on now.
Yeah, I tell you what we'll do. Well, like once we're off the air, I'll get with you on that off the air.
Okay, well, bet. All right, man. Well, appreciate you coming on. Staying into the chat, because you know how crazy the chat gets sometimes, and whenever we go live. So appreciate you, man. And have a blessed rest of your day. All right.
Most definitely.
All right, shalom. All right, Anon, it's on you, all right.
Yeah, I agree with much like the brother BA. Thanks for letting me get on the panel. You know what it is, Gabbar, King Melek, great building with you. To the sister Ilah, once again, amazing conversation. I look forward to future conversations. BA was here, always great talking to my and then the brother Michael Paul. Great to see him and getting active. So I'm just looking forward to being a part of the conversations, seeing what I can help and do. Hopefully there are some things that I can be of service in and bring something to the table and see what we can do. That's just where I'm at with it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and shout out to the brother Sal for making this platform available. And that's pretty much all I got. You guys enjoy your Shabbat. And for those of you you don't consider today your Shabbat, not trying to be offensive, just enjoy the rest of your day. So shalom.
All right, shalom. I appreciate you coming on, man, for your time. All right, Sister Ilah, it's on you. The floor is yours. She might still be having some connect issue. Is she still on? Sister Ilah? Sister Ilah? All right. I guess I'll throw it to you, Melek.
Okay. Well, in closing, once again, I want to just be grateful for having this opportunity and also give that shout out to Sal for making this possible. Once again, I'm King Melek ZakarYah, the creator at Shalom Care, grooming essentials for the modern man of color. The website to view my products and to learn about my products, shalomcare4u2u.com, Shalom Care, the number 4, the letter U, the number 2, the letter U.com. I am the host of Reparations Talk, the new podcast show, and I am an activist for reparations for the modern day descendants of American Negro slaves. You will hear more from me, and you will hear more from the organization of Reparations Talk. People, let's come together. Let's begin to talk about the reparations that are due. And please go on Facebook, look up the page, the Facebook page entitled Reparations for the Modern Day Descendants of American Negro Slaves, and how you can search the page. You're going to search at Reparations Are Due. At Reparations Are Due on Facebook, and the page will come up. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your like. And we appreciate any love that you show us. And any negative comments are also welcome. I have an answer for all of them. So long as you're being respectful, I would love to hear from you. All praises. Back to you, Gabbar.
All praises. I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. This was a much needed topic. I mean, I know we need to get to the content that was in the email that you sent me, man, because it was just so much. It was just like, man, but the Spirit of the Most High was just moving, and it got people involved. So all praises for that. So we definitely want to come back and do another one. And we're gonna have to get this information out there. Hopefully next time, we can line it up with the slideshow, get some of those up so that way people can see some visuals. Because as you already know, some people are visual learners. All right, so They definitely need to see some things in front of their eyes in order for them to kind of grasp the concept of what's going on.
That's
okay,
right.
So definitely appreciate you coming on. Again, we're gonna definitely come back and do it. All praises to the Most High. We got through another one. And we'll definitely be back. And Most High willing, I'll actually be seeing you later today, Most High willing.
That's right. And I think Sister Ilah, did she just come back on or something?
No, I mean, I guess she was just having some connectivity issues. I'm not sure what was going on. So we'll just have to get with her on the back end because I need
Oh,
to go
that's
ahead
what
and
she
get ready
said.
to
Yeah,
end.
she said I'm backstage. Okay, that's what that means. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just try to get her on the back end and then just speak with her about everything. But Sister
Cool.
Ilah, we definitely appreciate you coming on. I know we couldn't get any last words in for you. But definitely your voice was appreciated. I actually wish some other sisters would have jumped on that was tuning in. They could have gave their input on it. But hey, maybe next time, Spirit of the Most High move on them, to come in and provide that insight from the female's perspective. All right. But Melek, again, once again, Most High willing, we'll be seeing you later today.
Sure.
But we're gonna go ahead and close out here, and I'm gonna just give some final statements.
Okay.
All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, y'all. All right. So I just want to give a couple of scriptures. We didn't get to bring out a lot of scripture today. It was a lot of discussion, but it was a much needed discussion. So I just want to bring out some scriptures based upon some of the things that I heard. I won't be too long, but I just want to bring out a couple of things concerning some of the comments that were made, and I agree with 95 to 99% of what was said today. Okay. So I just want to bring out a couple of things real quick concerning us as a people. So this is coming out of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 26, and verse 19. All right, it says, "My son, keep the flower of thine age sound, and give not thy strength to strangers." Okay, so I'm all about self-preservation amongst the nation of Israel. All right. We as a people got to be able to preserve our strength and not give it over to these other nations, because the other nations, they're about self-preservation. All right. Not saying that they don't do business dealings with us and we can't do business dealings with them, but we got to be able to keep our strength within ourselves. Okay. And that starts with the home. All right. We got to be able to raise up our children and not have these outside influences coming in. Okay, we definitely have to be able to raise up our children to love themselves. Okay, and to be able to have a sense of identity. All right, we can't be giving our strength, our power, our wealth over to these other nations. And I get it, we're under the curses. I get it, but that doesn't mean that we just sit in the curses. At some point, they got to be uplifted. And the Most High is empowering us with His word and with His knowledge and His wisdom and understanding to do so. Okay. Verse 20, when thou hast gotten a fruitful possession through all the field, sow it with thy own seed, trusting in the goodness of thy stock. Okay. So we got to trust in the goodness of the stock of our heritage and our lineage that the Most High has blessed us with. Okay. We got to trust in that. And it's a fruitful possession. All right. So that's why it even says it in Jeremiah 29 to beget sons and daughters while you're in the Babylonian captivity and so on and so forth. All right. We still got to do those things even here now. We have to continue to build houses and plant gardens and establish our own businesses, be able to do all these things. So that way, if they're merciful, our oppressors will give us something because they see that we're operating in unity and in order. All right. It won't be order out of chaos. All right. Verse 21. So thy race, which thou leavest, shall be magnified, having the confidence of their good descent. So that's what it's all about. Okay. We need to have self-preservation so that way we can have some self-confidence. All right. So that way, whenever we leave off, because eventually, and I was speaking with I believe I was speaking with Brother Karash about this, about how, and a couple of other brothers too in time past, that me myself, I'm 35, and we have elders amongst our community. Eventually, the elders are going to fade out, and we're going to have to be the ones to step up. All right, it's gonna have to be us that's next in line to be these leaders. All right. So my peers, I'm speaking to you. We have to be the ones that's got to fill in these positions when the elders begin to fade out. It's gonna be on us. So we have to be the ones to take charge and do this. Okay. So we got to continue to build this confidence amongst our people. We got to show them that we can trust that trust can be established and that confidence can be there so that we can love ourselves and that we can have our own. All right. So from there, just got two more that I want to bring out. I want to go to Zephaniah chapter 2, and I want to bring out verse 1 real quick. So Zephaniah 2 and 1. Okay. All right, just let it pull up real quick here. All right, Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. It says, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. So we are commanded to come together. And when we come together, it's not just coming together to just hang out and party and be festive. I mean, we got things that we got to do. Okay, we got moves that we got to make, Israel. These are the things that we have to do. Okay, verse 2. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Okay, so we have an allotted amount of time to do this. All right, and we have to attempt to achieve this before the Most High's judgment is brought forth, which we don't know when will happen, because as it was brought out last week on episode 2 of Spiritual Food Sabbath Meal, no man knows the final day or hour. So it's imperative that we do this. The time is high, all right? And time's being made short as the scripture speaks. So we have to do this. We can't sit around. We have to start making these things happen. I myself, I have a couple of projects that I'm working on, on the back end that I'm collaborating with Sal Showtime on, and a couple of other brothers, that I'm trying to speak with. I'm trying to get with brother Ron Shields and trying to discuss with him some things, and and just trying to build some stuff. Even with my co-host on Spiritual Food, I'm trying to develop some things with him. Got brothers down in Texas, down in Mississippi and Tennessee, that I'm trying to build with, and things that we are trying to establish, because we need a means to have things for ourselves, at least until the Most High's judgment comes forth. We got to try to do something, because we got to be living examples, all right, of this. So yes, let's come together, all right. To some degree, let's come together, all right. The doctrine that can be discussed, that can be discussed, okay. And I'm not negating that, but we got to try to come together to at least have some currency exchange and trades and something, amongst ourselves, all right. We can't get so high-minded that we don't want to deal with none of our own people, all right. If brothers and sisters are sincere, we need to come together and try to make this happen, okay. And that's what we are trying to do, all right. I want to bring out one more. I'm going to go ahead and close it out. All right, Hebrews chapter 10, and I want to get verse Hebrews 10. I believe it's at 22 or 23. 23. Actually, let me go to verse 24. Hebrews 10, verse 24. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. Okay, so we got to consider each other, and we got to provoke each other in the commandments and to doing the good works. Okay, so that's what this is all about. Whenever we come together, it's provoking each other so that way we can establish good works amongst each other, and we are considerate of each other. Verse 25. Now forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. So we cannot forsake the assembly of ourselves and coming together, all right, and having this nation building. That's what this reparations talk is about. Something's on the table. We need to come together as a body to some extent, and let's try to get these things. Let's try to get access to these things so that way we can help our people out, because we need a lot of help, Israel. Our people have suffered enough. And we don't want another generation to go through this. They've suffered enough. We got to do something, all right? Because the manner of some is to not come together. That's the manner of some, is to not do it at all. Not deal with anybody. but we can't move like that. That's not what we're commanded to do. All right. We got to exhort each other, and we got to do it even more so because the day is approaching when the Most High is going to bring judgment, and it's going to start with the house of Israel. Okay. So that's why it's so important that we have to do these things, and we have to have these talks. We have to have these discussions. We have to make these connections amongst each other. Okay. Because it's just too important to our faith and our belief in these scriptures. Okay. So I just want to leave you all with that right there before I close out. Again, I want to give much respect to Sal Showtime for allowing us to come on this platform and for allowing us to be able to disseminate the information, to be able to have these discussions. Much appreciated what he has done in establishing this platform for well over 10 years. Much respect to you, Sal Showtime, man. And again, we are all learning from you, man, as you let us come on here and host these shows, man. We are all learning from you. So it's much appreciated. I want to thank all the guests that came on: King Melek ZakarYah, Sister Ilah, Brother Anonymous Hebrew, Brother B.A., Michael Paul. Want to thank all the people in the chat that was asking questions, displaying their comments, sharing the information. It's greatly appreciated. And again, support the platform. All right. The information is scrolling right across the screen. It's been scrolling across the screen all show. So donate to the platform, subscribe to the channel, share it, share these videos, and most high willing, we will be back. Okay. I want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh in the name of in the authority of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, for allowing us to be able to disseminate this information today. Father, your grace and your mercy was with us, and we thank you, and we just pray that you empower us with that power from on high to give us the spiritual abilities to perform the task at hand. I want to thank everybody for coming on once again. Debate Talk for You, Spiritual Food, Sabbath Meal, Episode 3 is coming to an end. I bid you all a farewell. May Yahweh keep you and watch over you always. Once again, bid you all farewell. Shalom.